It it's great to be here. Linda, thanks for asking me. It's been a long time, and and I totally appreciate that you had an ulterior motive to having me speak tonight because you had to deal with shenanigans getting to MacStock. So you ended up missing my presentation. Um, so I suppose what I should do is hold on. Let's get this back down. Okay. Um, I have the ability to share, correct?
Correct.
It looks like it. Okay.
Um,
So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to share my keynote window and and so won't look quite as pretty as it did at MacStock. But then again, we also don't have an amazing engineer switching back and forth between my screen and me presenting. And anyhow, so if all goes well, you can now see my keynote window. Awesome. Okay, so here's the plan, everyone. Uh, we're going to talk about the stuff that you may not want to share online and ways that you can protect yourself. And keep in mind the way you ensure that no information about you ever makes it out onto the internet. It's it's like in war games where the computer realizes the only winning solution is not to play, and it's the same thing if you're going to go online. The only way to truly ensure that none of your information ever is shared with anyone else online is to not be online. And yet, even that won't fully protect you because if someone else puts some of your information online, and that's completely out of your control, that's it. It's out there. So, uh, yeah, it's not a perfect solution, but we can take measures to help limit how much information is being shared online and how much tracking is actually happening. By the way, for those of you that don't know who I am, uh, my name is Jeff Gamet, and I've been part of the Apple News Tech journalism and blogging community for a very long time. I was the managing editor at the Mac Observer for many years. And after I left that, I've been writing and producing content for companies in the tech space, which is a lot of fun. And a lot of what I write about is security focused. So that was part of the motivation that I had to come up with this presentation, which j- we will use the slides from my Mac stock presentation from July. But since we're just all like family here, we'll go ahead and be a little more casual with it. I mean, we're all here. We if you have questions, feel free to ask. And if you want a copy of the presentation, so you have notes without having to write a lot of notes, there's a QR code on your screen right now. This will get you the same file that I shared with everyone at MacStock. So feel free to use your camera on your iPhone and grab that file, and it will be a PDF, so you can open it in preview or whatever you want. All right, so let's talk real quick. There's about terminology that you'll need to know about. And first thing is HTTPS. And this is the encryption between your web browser and the website that you're visiting. And so this is a thing like when you go to Amazon in your web browser and you buy something online. That whole transaction is encrypted between your computer and Amazon servers, including what you were looking at, because it's all in an encrypted communication back and forth between you and Amazon. So that's what HTTPS is. All right. Another bit of information that you need: domain name server, DNS. This is the magical computer system hiding out all over the web that lets you type something like apple.com and get to Apple's website in your web browser instead of needing to know the IP address for the server where Apple's website is hosted. And off the top of my head, I do not know that server's IP address. Um, but if I did, I could type that into a web browser. It's probably like, what does Apple use? I think they're 7.1 dot something. Um, anyhow, I'm going to totally make up an address right now. 71.246.18.1. We'll say that's Apple's server. Totally made that number up. But it's a lot easier to remember apple.com than a number string. So what domain name servers do is let you type apple.com. It figures out what that IP address is, and then your web browser knows where to go to get to the website you actually want to visit. Okay, so that's that's the terminology you really need to know. Um, I've already mentioned IP address. That's the physical address, the numbers that identify where a server is out on the internet or on your home network. All the devices that are using Wi-Fi or Ethernet, they have an IP address as well, but it will be a local private IP address. And anyhow, so the point is, each device that goes onto your network or goes out onto the internet will have an address that identifies what it is. Um, and it's that number that ultimately gets used when you go to a website. All right, so VPN, virtual private network, that's a way of creating kind of a tunnel around the traffic going between your computer and then out to the rest of the internet. This is really handy if you work for, say, a company that wants to make sure that no one is snooping on your activity. It's also a handy thing if you're, say, at a coffee shop and you want to ensure that no one that's in the coffee shop on the network that's using network sniffing tools will be able to potentially grab any of your activity. So uh, it it think of it as a tunnel that routes all your information back and forth, so no one can see what's happening with your internet activity. Now, for those of you that that uh, that have a deeper level of understanding on all these terms, you know exactly what I left out and what I simplified. Let's just roll with it because it's a lot easier than going deep into the discussion about when and where a VPN is most effective and all the rest of that stuff. Okay, so the terminology that you really needed to remember is HTTPS, that's the encrypted connection between your computer and the web server you want to talk to, and DNS, that's the system that lets you type in a domain name and still get to where you need to go without having to know the IP address for that server. All right. So let's talk a little bit about some security features that we can enable on your Mac, your iPhone, your iPad. And first, let's talk about your firewall. And your firewall, by the way, this is a Mac only feature because Apple doesn't think that you need to worry your pretty little head about firewall management on your iPhone or your iPad. Uh, there, there's a deeper explanation, which maybe we'll get into, um, or not. But just suffice for right now to know that you can enable or disable the firewall on your Mac, just not on your iPhone or your iPad. And what is a firewall? Think of it sort of like a like Gandalf in Lord of the Rings. And Gandalf is standing right there at your internet connection, and up comes walking some creepy, nefarious orc website thing, and Gandalf yells, "None shall pass." And there you go. That's basically what your firewall is. Now, if actually, a better analogy would be Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And you know the scene where they get to the bridge and they have to cross the bridge and they have to answer the question, and if they don't, they get shot off into the canyon. That's actually a much better analogy. And so if if your whatever it is, the information has already been approved for passing through, like it's going through a specific part of your network connection that's already been allowed, it's an application that's already been given permission, then it's as if those things know the 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 size of a coconut that a swallow can carry when it's in flight. Um, and if you don't get that reference, did your parents fail you by not exposing you to Monty Python? Um, anyhow, the point is you can use the firewall to restrict what gets in and out of your computer, and it's a way of preventing information that you don't want um, coming in, access you don't want coming in from happening. So the way you enable your firewall on your Mac, you go into System Settings, then you click Network, then you click Firewall, then you click Turn on Firewall. Here's another cool little thing for you. The network that you join, let's say you have a MacBook Air and you go to a friend's house, you go to a coffee shop, you use it at home. Those are three different networks. You can have unique settings for each of those networks. So if for whatever reason you don't want to have the firewall on at home, but you do at the coffee shop, then when you're at the coffee shop, just select the network, make sure the firewall is turned on, and then that's it. From that moment forward, whenever you join that network, the firewall will always be active. Okay, let's talk about another cool thing, stealth mode. This is another Mac feature because once again, Apple doesn't think you need to worry your pretty little head about stealth mode on your iPhone or iPad. Uh, uh, the slightly longer answer without going into details is stealth mode is effectively active all the time on your iPhone and iPad, and the way iOS and iPadOS work, um, the firewall, well, it's not exactly the same as the firewall you have on your Mac. There's a firewall-ish thing running all the time to restrict what can come in to your device, and um, so you do have those types of protections on those devices. Okay, so stealth mode makes your Mac invisible on a network, meaning other devices that will reach out and, like a submarine, ping out at things and listen to see what bounces back. Stealth mode stops your Mac from responding back. So let's say you're in a coffee shop and someone is running a tool because they want to find out what other devices are on the coffee shop network and then see if it's something that they can hack into. When they send out their ping to see what's out there, maybe they'll get a couple Android phones and someone's PC laptop, but they're not going to get your MacBook Air because you've enabled stealth mode. And so your Mac will not say, "Yep, I'm here." Okay. Another thing that you can do, and this is something you can do on your iPhone as well, limit IP address tracking. Now, what this does is go beyond your local network, beyond protecting your computer on the network that you're on, and this extends out to limiting the information that's available about you when you're on the internet. So, different cookies from websites, as an example, will latch onto your IP address and then follow along to see where you're going and what you're doing. And when you turn on limit IP address tracking, this will stop those um, nefarious cookies, if you will, from being able to track you based on your IP address. So to turn this on your Mac, you go into System Settings and you click Network, and then your network connect. Select the network connection you have currently active. Click on Details, and then click the little button for Turn on Limit IP Address Tracking. I don't think it actually says turn on. You know what? I could look at my own screenshot and tell you it does not say turn on. It just says limit IP address tracking. Click the little button to turn it on. Click OK, and you're good. Here's how you do it on your iPhone. Uh, Tap the Settings app. Tap Wi-Fi because all your connections are going to be Wi-Fi on your iPhone. Tap your active network connection. And then there will be an option in there where you can turn on limit IP address tracking. Okay. And as long as they're on your iPhone, let's go ahead and limit the spam calls that you get. Um, so for this, tap Settings, go into your apps, and so you have to scroll down in Settings to where it says Apps. Tap on that. Scroll down until you find Phone, because the phone is an app on your iPhone. And then scroll down to where it says Silence Unknown Callers. Tap on that, and then you turn on silence unknown callers. Okay, so what happens when you do this, if someone, whether that's a person or a business, is in your contacts on your phone, then the call will ring. If they're not, then the call happens, but you don't hear it ring, and then if they choose to leave a voicemail, they can do so. So it's a it's a way to limit how many calls you're actually exposed to at any given time. And considering the number of spam calls we get, it's an easy way to help cut down how many of those you're actually experiencing at any given time. Um, and speaking of those spam calls, while we're still on your iPhone, um, we can silence the junk spam calls that are coming in. Um, so for this, we stay in settings, we're still in apps, and we're still in phone. Look for call blocking and identification. Turn or tap on that, and then turn on silence junk callers. Okay, and so if you look at the screenshot, you'll see in my settings, there's a thing called Haya sitting there. This is a tool that you can download and use for free. There's a subscription service if you want to have more features. But Haya uses a more robust system to filter out spam calls and alert me of potential spam calls. Um, So I love this tool. There are others that are out there. Um, what you should do, though, as long as you're looking into something like this, check with your carrier, your cell service carrier. See what level of support they offer for spam call blocking, and they may have a feature that gives you more robust control of that. They may have their own app that you can install that will help filter those as well. So just keep that in mind. It's an option for you. All right. And as long as we're getting rid of the unknown stuff, we might as well filter out those unknown text messages because there's a lot of spammers that are going to hit you with text messages. I get multiple every day. Some of them I will actually post online to to highlight the types of spam text messages that are coming in. Some of them are very sophisticated. Okay, so on your iPhone, you can do this on your iPad as well. Um, go to settings, go to apps, tap on messages, and then turn on filter unknown senders. There's another step you have to do with this. You need to use the filters in messages, and then you can toggle between seeing just the senders you know and the unknown senders. So it's not like an unknown message just comes in and is never seen, which could be a problem if you're looking for an authentication code to like get into your bank account or whatever. Um, Now on your Mac, um, you can go to the view option, and that's where you'll choose the known senders thing. Okay. So I mentioned, oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. I have been talking a lot today, and apparently, 8:53 in the evening is when my voice starts to fail. All right. So, here's a list of some third-party apps that you can use to help limit spam calls and spam text messages. Um, so you have links for all of these, and and I believe in the PDF they're active hyperlinks. So you can just tap or click and away you go. Haya is the one that I'm using. RoboKiller and NomoRobo are excellent choices as well. Haya is just the one that happens to fit my workflow the best. Um, and I have a link in here for spam and SMS filtering apps that Apple put together. So that's a nice little link for you there too. Now, if you're at MacStock, this is the part where I told everyone, let's stop and catch our breath because we just went through a ton of stuff really fast. And so here's a bird to make you happy. And now that you've caught your breath, we can move on. And let's talk more about our online security. Okay, so I mentioned VPNs earlier, and that they are a tool that you can use to help um, protect your online activity from people that are snooping. Um, Here's how you pick a VPN if you need one. Free is not an option. Ever, ever, ever. A free VPN is no VPN at all. It is a false sense of security. What you want is something that is encrypting your online activity between your computer and the VPN server. All right, and uh, and if it's a free VPN, they're harvesting your information, all of your activity, and then selling it, and that's how they make money. So if you need a VPN, you'll know you need a VPN, and then you will pay for it. Um, so I gave you a list here of some popular options so that if you feel you need a VPN, you have a place to start. And I mean, there's so many out there. It is just ridiculous trying to keep up with what the options are. So ExpressVPN, NordVPN, Surfshark, TunnelBear, these are all great options. I'm using TunnelBear because that's the one that works best for me. And um, the other companies are doing this now as well, but at the time that I signed up for TunnelBear, which this will tell you how long ago it was, TunnelBear was the only company that brought in an independent third-party auditing company to audit their operation every single year, and then they take the results of that, good and bad, and post them publicly for everyone to see. And when the audits find something that is lacking in their system, they they have that out there for everyone to see, and then they tell you this is what we're doing to address that. So to me, that was a huge thing. Um, so NordVPN, ExpressVPN, Surfshark, also great options. You can try all of them out. And Linda, you have a question.
I do.
Hmm.
Is there any information about um, a VPN that might work best over hotel networks or airport networks? I've had occasion where I'm, in a hotel or whatever, and the network just will not work with the VPN. You have to turn off the VPN if you want to get on the web at all.
That's a really good question. There's probably a better answer than what I have for you. My experience has been when I have situations like that, I'm stuck and I can't actually use a VPN. However, I
Mm.
have not had the opportunity to try something that I will mention uh, later on in the presentation.
Okay.
And and that may actually address the problem for me and for you. And it's easy and it's free, but it's one of the situations where free is okay.
Okay. All right. I'll hang on with breathless,
Okay.
breathless anticipation.
So, yep, Tunnel Bear, that's the one I use. All right. Oh, also, for products that I mention, these are all products that I have tested at some point. None of these companies have any idea that I've mentioned their products in my presentation, and the stuff that I'm using, I'm paying for myself. So, just to be clear, full disclosure, there is no quid pro quo happening here. This is all the stuff that I use and recommend. No company is paying me to say anything about their products. So, all right, we should talk about virtual credit cards. And virtual credit cards are a way that you can protect your actual credit card number from security breaches. And the way this works is you get a service that offers virtual credit cards. Your bank may be one of those services, so it's worth checking into. And then you have this account where you can generate virtual card numbers that link back to your actual credit card. And you can do things like set up different virtual credit card numbers for different services. So you know exactly when, say, Netflix has has charged you for your monthly subscription because the card number that you have generated for that service is the one that's showing a payment has been processed through. Um, so this is like a firewall for your credit card because your actual credit card is not used in the transactions, only this virtual number. And then the virtual card company, they're managing the between your actual credit card and the virtual card number. So that that gives you a nice way of being able to track where payments are happening. um, if there is a data breach somewhere and credit card numbers are taken, your credit card number was not involved in the data breach because it was just a virtual card number. And And if you have a situation where you need to just kill that virtual number and start a new credit card number for it, new virtual number, that's a lot easier than going to your bank and having them cancel the one card, issue you a new card. Hopefully, if that happens, your bank is one of the ones where it updates automatically for Apple Pay, so you don't have to wait several days for a physical card to show up before you can start making payments again. Anyhow, let you do all of that. The other thing is when your credit card expires and you have, say, 10 different services that use that credit card, you have to go online and change your credit card information in 10 places. If you're using a virtual card, you change it with a virtual card service. Nothing else changes. So now you've been able to change everything in just one place. Privacy.com is the one that I have used. Ramp is really good as well. Like I said, check with your banks. They may offer virtual card number service just as part of having your account. Apple Pay is sort of like that. Your Apple Card does let you generate virtual numbers as well. So there are a lot of options here for this. And considering how much of our purchasing activity happens online now, I really feel like virtual card services are becoming an essential service. Okay, let's talk a little bit, or a lot of bit, however you want to look at it, about ad and tracker blockers. Um, if you're using Safari as your web browser, you do have some built-in protections there to help limit the ads that are popping up and the trackers that are following you online. So on your Mac, launch Safari, go into settings, go to privacy, and then make sure that you have checked prevent cross-site trackers and hide IP address from trackers. So the way this works, it's clever what Apple has done at the operating system level and at the app level. There's a lot of things that companies can do that are just really creepy to track your activity and build profiles about you. Like even down to asking your computer through a website to identify what computer model you have, what operating system you're running, what your IP address is, which then can be used to potentially narrow down your location. Um, what fonts do you have installed? Because the number of people that have the exact same number of fonts installed is very low. So you can actually use installed fonts as a way to help build a unique profile about someone. And that's super creepy. So, anyhow, the things that Apple is doing to anonymize the way your computer identifies itself online without you doing anything is great. Uh, but then being able to add in ad blockers and tracker blockers just right in Safari is nice as well. Okay, so now you've seen how to do it on your Mac. Here's how we do it on your iPhone. Settings, apps, Safari, and then turn on cross prevention site tracking. Um, Set hide IP addresses to from trackers. Okay, so hide IP addresses is the option, or is the setting, and then you have multiple options. The option you want to choose is from trackers. And then, as long as you're there, turn on fraudulent website warning. And and what this does is uses a database of fraudulent websites and markers are that are similar amongst websites that are fraudulent. So you have it's like a two-pronged attack to make sure that you are not doing things on fake websites. Okay, so a little bit more about ad and tracker blockers. Once again, this is a third party opportunity, meaning developers can do things that give you more control than what Apple is offering you. So there are tools like One Blocker, Ad Blocker, and Wiper 2. that help block that tracking activity, help prevent the ads from showing up, um, and excuse me, and keep the sites from being able to follow you from website to website. Because who wants to go to a website that should be just simple and friendly and nice to everyone, like Facebook, and then be able to go to another website after Facebook and not have Facebook know where you went and what you're doing, right? Well, turns out that's exactly what Facebook does. You hit their website, they drop a cookie that tracks you everywhere you go from that point forward for a set amount of time, and and turns out you suddenly don't have privacy online simply because you looked at something on Facebook. All right, so the service that I'm using is one blocker, but like I said, AdBlock and Wiper 2 are both really good options as well. So these are apps that you can install on your iPhone, your iPad, your Mac. Um, um, if you're running Android, if you're running Windows, these are available for all of those. Okay, so we are running through a ton of stuff and we're running through it quickly, which is why I have so many slides in this presentation so that all the things that I'm hitting on, you've got it here in case you can't write as fast as I talk. All right, so let's talk a little bit about security breaches. I've already mentioned that. Security breaches, that's out of your control. And this is where tools like privacy.com can help protect your credit card number from being stolen. Um, but what if it's other information that's been stolen, like maybe your username or your password have been in a data breach? And of course, I know all of you are using a unique passwords for every single login because you're all smart people and you know that if your password is being used everywhere, if it's stolen once, that gives someone the ability to log in to multiple services that you already have access to. And who wants to go to Amazon and buy something? And well, Amazon's a bad example in this case. Who wants to go to Home Depot and buy something and then find out later on that your personal information was involved in a security breach and someone's been out making purchases all over the internet, logging into your bank account because you were using the same password everywhere. All right. So here's a really cool service that you can use to see whether or not your login, like excuse me, your email address has been uh, uh, in a data breach. So I totally got my sentence munged there. Let me try that again. You typically use an email address for your login. So at Have I Been Pwned, you can type in your email address and it will go through the massive databases of stolen information, login information that it's been able to access, and then tell you if you have been involved in a data breach. So if you look real close at the screenshot that's in here, you can see that my email address, when I ran this before MacStock, uh, had been involved in 24 different data breaches. And so I got this really nice report that listed out what those data breaches were, how many people were impacted, what sort of data was compromised in those breaches, and it's a great way to be able to, well, to first have a wake up call, but then also to know where I need to be focusing to improve my own personal security online. And luckily, I use unique passwords everywhere. So, and I had changed passwords already on the the services where data breaches had happened. So I was okay. but it was still great to see all those things in case there was something that had come up that I had missed. Have I been pwned.com? This is one of those websites where if you don't know, it would be very easy to assume this is a phishing scam that's trying to get login credentials from people so that they can then go in and log into all these services as you and steal your money. Have I been pwned has been vetted many times, and it is a trusted source. You also are not putting your passwords in, so it's not like they actually can get anything that in most cases isn't publicly available already. But Have I Been Pwned is a trustworthy service, and it's cool that there's this whole group of people out there that are maintaining this. They take donations. So if you use this and find it valuable, well, great, throw some money their way. Okay, so with all of that, we should talk about strong passwords and passkeys. If you are not using a password manager app, you need to be using a password manager app. And I have had arguments with people across the age spectrum who have said, well, I don't need that. I don't have that many logins. I can remember everything. I just keep it all written down. I have a text file that I keep everything in so I can just copy and paste. No, no, this is how your stuff gets stolen. Um, and if you are having to make up your own passwords all the time, there's a higher likelihood you're going to make passwords that are easily guessable, and you don't want them to be too difficult because you're typing them in all the time, right? A password manager fixes that for you because now all you need to know is the password that you made for the password manager. And then it keeps track of all the logins for all the websites and services that you use, and it can generate really complicated passwords that are super hard to break. And so you can just let it do its thing. You don't need to remember what all these passwords are because your password manager is doing that for you. Apple introduced the Passwords app, excuse me, the Password app. Um, so as long as you're current on Mac OS, iOS, iPad OS, you have the Password app. So all those passwords that Safari had been saving for you over the years, it's suddenly very easy to see those and manage those. Previously, you had to go to the Keychain Access app, and it was not a user-friendly experience. But the Password app, I think, is really great. And if you're not already using a password management tool, then please take advantage of Password. It's already on your devices, and it's a great way to manage all of those passwords. Okay, I'm using 1Password, which is a subscription service, and I've been using it so long that when I first started using it, there was no O in the name. It was Password, 1Password without an O. And yeah, so this has been super reliable for me. There are other password managers out there, and some people really like the other password managers. I don't want to use a password manager that's been involved in a data breach, and many of the alternatives have been. So that's why I use 1Password. The Password app, um, it hasn't been involved in data breaches. It's also newer, but I feel like this is a really good option. And since it's already on your devices, why not take advantage of it? Okay, so we should talk about online privacy. We've gone through a ton of stuff already. So let's get into some online privacy. And and if you're at MacStock, this is the part where I said, "Hey Chuck, joiner, this one's just for you." Um, Also, I want to point out that Barry just took a photo of my underpants. I'm not judging. Um, so Your security, your online security, to me, this is like your underpants. You don't share your underpants. Most people don't share their underpants with other people. It's a private thing. And your underpants go into your underpants drawer when you're not using them, and it's no one's business what's in your underpants drawer, right? It doesn't matter that you aren't hiding anything. It doesn't matter that you aren't involved in any sort of questionable or illegal activity and you're hiding that information in your underwear drawer. You're not. This Your underwear drawer is your private place, and no one should have the right or the ability to just go through that drawer at their leisure. So imagine you're sitting at home and the police just open up the door to your house. Don't even knock on the door. They just walk in, they go right to your bedroom, they open up your underwear drawer, and they start going through everything. But you have nothing to hide, so because you haven't done anything wrong, so what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is that is a horrible invasion of your privacy. And despite the fact that it's it's uh, it's protected under the Constitution of the United States, it's still just plain wrong. And so, in the case of your privacy, we need to treat it like your underwear drawer. Doesn't matter what's in there, it's yours, it's private. No one should have access to that without your express permission. Okay, so what are some ways that we can keep people out of your metaphorical online underwear drawer? An easy way, if you have an iCloud subscription, is to turn on iCloud Private Relay. So this works with Safari and with Mail and with select other applications. Select other applications is Apple speak for Apple's applications. This doesn't help you with third-party tools, okay? But if you're working within Apple's ecosystem, then iCloud Private Relay can be a useful tool. All right. So the way you would turn this on if you're not using it already, assuming you have your iCloud Plus subscription active, you go into settings on your Mac or system settings on your iPhone and iPad because Apple can't give us consistency. Um, then you tap on or click on your name, which is at the top of the settings there. Then click on iCloud, then click Private Relay, and then click or tap the button that says Turn on Private Relay. And there you go. So what happens is this adds an extra layer of privacy to help obfuscate who you are. And while I know this is not a VPN, for many people, this serves the purpose that they want in a VPN. Because what happens is you send out a web request. You want to go to apple.com. So then it hits a server that Apple has that's designed to obfuscate who you are. And then it bounces it off to another one, which does it again. Then it bounces it off to another one, which does it again, and then sends the request out to the internet, and then the information comes back to you. So, so the other end, that receiving end, they have literally no idea who you are or where you are because you've been bounced around through all these servers, and the path to who you are is broken at each point. So it's a very clever, easy, and transparent way to add a level of privacy to your online activity. Here's a place where it's a problem though. Not all Wi-Fi routers really support iCloud Private Relay. And unfortunately, one of my favorites, Eero, because it's like if Apple had continued the airport product line, I feel like it would have been Eero. Um, Eero doesn't play well with iCloud Private Relay. So if you're on an Eero network, you may very well have to turn this off to be able to function correctly on your Wi-Fi network. Um, That's my case. So if I'm out and about and I'm doing something in Apple Mail or Safari on my iPhone, say in a coffee shop, uh, yeah, maybe I could turn on private relay and add an extra layer of privacy for myself there. For the rest of you, just turn it on and leave it on. Okay,
Do you
so
know if Comcast has this private network thing?
uh, you mean private relay?
Private relay, yeah.
Comcast has nothing to do with this. This is all Apple. So think of this as service agnostic. You're using an Apple device and you're paying for iCloud Plus.
Hmm.
You can be on Comcast. What's that other one? Roadrunner, whatever. Where I live, we have municipal broadband. Nextlight works there just the same. So so the cool thing is you don't need to worry about whose internet service you're using. All you need to care about is you know where to find the setting on your iPhone and your Mac.
Okay,
Does
I'll take a
does that make
picture of that.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Cool. Okay. So, remember how I said earlier you need to know what HTTPS is? This is where that matters. Um, so HTTPS, it encrypts the information going between you and the website, but it doesn't hide the websites that you're visiting, nor does it hide the DNS requests that you are making. So when you go to apple.com, that DNS request is actually sent out as a plain text query. So that means there is no encryption, no privacy, no at all for that. Um, so we can, however, improve on this, and we can start by increasing the privacy of DNS. So, as I said, DNS queries, they're not encrypted. Why does this matter? Well, because your internet service provider, they're probably logging every single DNS request that you make. Um, and for those of you that are like, let's just change that DNS. Yes, but that's not where we are yet. We're talking about what happens when you're just using your default settings. Also, I have been on some public networks where they force you to use that network's DNS, and that, I mean, that's bad. We don't want that to happen because now that coffee shop, that library, whatever, they are now logging all of your activity, all the web requests that you're making while you're on their network. Um, so the simple fix for this is to use a different DNS service, but the better fix is to use a service called DOH. So DOH means DNS over HTTPS. And there you go. Both the terms we needed to learn at the beginning just came back together. So, what DOH does is it encrypts those DNS queries for you so that your ISP, hackers, government, surveillance from whatever, they don't know what websites you're requesting. And so how does this work? Well, some browsers offer DOH support built in. Chrome, Edge, other Chromium browsers, Firefox, they all support DOH. Safari does not. And before you get pissed off, there's a reason why Safari doesn't. And it's because Apple's philosophy is that DOH should be at the system level. So everything that's using DNS on your network or on your device has that protection, and not just your web browser or other specific apps that can take advantage of that. So totally get it. I think Apple could do a better job of setting that up, making
Sorry,
it easy to set up.
what was DNS again? I missed that part.
DNS means domain name server.
Oh,
And that, so when you type apple.com, the domain name server figures out through its database, oh, apple.com has this IP address. So it tells your web browser, go to that IP address. And then your web browser says,
okay.
thank you, and apple.com loads. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Cool. Cool. Okay. So, there are multiple parts to this. By the way, we're in the technical part of all of this now, and even still, you've only needed to learn two terms. So, I'm doing my best to keep it as a two-term thing. All right. So let's bypass the DNS trackers, or excuse me, the DNS services that are easily trackable, like the one that your internet service provider offers. Um, so you can use a different DNS server. Cloudflare, I think, is a great option. And here you go. Here's the numbers that you need, the IP addresses that you need for Cloudflare. Quad 9 is really good as well, and OpenDNS. They uh, they they have a good service as well. Um, all of these offer free plans. You can also have paid plans, and these are reputable services. So, like in the case of Cloudflare, they're totally fine doing this for free because they have other services that people are paying for, both as individuals, but primarily for businesses. And in the case of Cloudflare, it makes sense for them to give away this service for free to everyone because Cloudflare's core business is caching websites for businesses so that they load faster, and that's a service these companies are paying for. So when you use Cloudflare's DNS, they can route you through the cached site faster, and it becomes more efficient overall. So it, like I said, it's in their interest to let you use their DNS because it's going to make it more efficient for them and for you. Um, okay, so I've used all of these. They've all been good. Cloudflare is the one that I use across all my devices, and but there are other reasons for that, which we will get to. Um, so this is a great way to stop your internet service provider from logging all of your website queries because they can't see that anymore. Well, once we make sure that's fully encrypted, but they can't automatically track all of your website queries when you use an alternate DNS service. Okay, so how can we go about just adding in a new DNS server for our web browsers to use? Well, on your iPhone or your iPad, you tap on Settings, you tap on Wi-Fi, tap the little I for info next to whatever your active Wi-Fi network is, and then tap Configure DNS, tap Manual, and then tap Add Server. And now you can type in a server name or number, excuse me. So, like in the case of Cloudflare, 1.1.1.1, and then you can add another 1.0.0.1. And another reason why I like Cloudflare is because Cloudflare does support DOH, which becomes more important when we start encrypting those DNS queries. All right, so tap Save, and that's it. You're done. And do this on all your devices, and now you're using an alternate DNS service. And in the case of Cloudflare, they have been very transparent about the fact that they don't retain activity. So there's like a small window of time, I think it's like a couple days, where those queries are maintained and then they just get flushed away. So they are not collecting, harvesting, and selling your activity. All right. On your Mac, go to System Settings, click Network, and then select whichever network you're on, Wi-Fi or Ethernet. Click Details, click DNS, and then click the plus in the DNS server section, and then add in the IP addresses for whichever DNS service you want to use, and click OK, and you're done. All right. So let's say that you want to use DOH in your web browser, and you're using a web browser that supports that, like Edge, um, Firefox, Chrome. There are settings that you need that you can enable on each one. For Edge, when you go into settings, you need to click on Privacy Search and Services and then turn on Use Secure DNS to specify how to look up the network address for websites, because that's just a great way to describe it. Anyhow, um, in Chrome, it's similar because Edge is Microsoft's uh, uh, version of Chromium. They came up with their own terminology for settings. Excuse me, Chrome. It's the same thing though, um, but with fewer words. You go to Settings, Privacy and Security. You click on Security, and then click the little button to turn on Use Secure DNS. And Firefox, it's just on by default. Now, this assumes that you are using a DNS service that offers DOH. So since you turned on, or you added, in this case, Cloudflare, Firefox is using that by default and for DOH. And we just showed you how to turn it on in the browser for Chrome and Chromium. Okay, so now let's encrypt DNS. Here's the easy way to do it. And this is another reason why I like Cloudflare, because they just offer this as a free thing, which makes sense for them to do because it's much more efficient for them to serve websites back to you through their cached thing if you're asking for it directly, as opposed to having it go through other routes and then into their cache and then back out. So Cloudflare Warp. This is a free app for your iPhone, your iPad, and your Mac, your Android, your Windows, whatever. I have installed it on a 2011 MacBook Air that I installed Mint Linux on. So I've got this running on a wide range of devices. So what you do is uh, you install the app, and then when you want to have encrypted DNS, you just turn on Warp, and that's it. It's done. You don't have to worry about certificates or anything else. That's it. Um, and this, I think, is just so cool because it's the easy way to make it happen. Um, I usually don't use Warp because I have on my local network, because I have other things that I'm doing to to encrypt my DNS. But having this as an option is always great. For me, it's actually really great right now, and I'll get to that in a minute. Um, okay, so here's the deal, though. What do we do about Safari? Because I just told you, Safari looks to the operating system on your Mac for DOH. You have no way of setting this up yourself. So the way this works is if you have Warp installed, it's just looking to see what the system is saying to use for DNS. So when you install Warp and then activate it, the operating system is telling Safari on all your devices that you have it active on, use DOH. And then Safari will be like, got it, I can do that. So instead of having to go and look for settings in Chrome or Firefox or whatever, you just install Warp and turn it on, and then your systems or your web browser and your email are using DOH. Here's the catch, though. If you have iCloud Private Relay turned on, it supersedes everything. So if you're going to use Warp, turn off iCloud Private Relay. All right, so how do you test to see if, once you've done these things, if DOH is working for you? And the answer is go to 1.1.1.1/help, all spelled out, and then it does a DOH query and lets you know if you are in fact running DOH. So I like this because once you've got everything set up, it's kind of this mystical happening in the background thing. How do you know it's really working? Here you go. That's how you know it's working. Okay, so now, and I know I'm running us a little late, and I apologize for that. I will mention this, and I would spend more time going into it, but this is for people that aren't comfortable with command line stuff. This is where we start melting heads. So what I'm doing is exposing everyone to this world that's out there where you can do crazy things on your own network that once it's set up, it's super cool. Um, and you can roll your own DOH DNS system. I use a Raspberry Pi for this, and and I installed an open source tool called Pi-hole onto the Raspberry Pi, and it acts as a sinkhole for ads and trackers. So it's sort of like a firewall, and I'm using the term horribly in this situation, but think of it like a firewall that all those ad blockers and all those ads and trackers that are trying to load on your system, they can't get past Pi-hole because it has all of these rules and databases, so it can watch for the markers and then block those things before they get through to you. And it's amazing how much faster web pages load when you're using a tool like Pi-hole and just blocking all the stuff. Here's the thing, though, as long as we're here, I do need to talk about with great power comes great responsibility. There are so many websites that rely on ads loading for you to get their revenue. And for those websites that you frequent where you want to support them, consider letting the ads come through, even if you're blocking all the other tracker stuff, so that they can get paid for what they're doing for you. Um, it's the big problem for me with all of this is that Google ruined it for everyone. And they created a system where we now have this ongoing battle between trying to get ads in front of you and us trying to have websites that are actually usable and readable. And that's why I'm running Pi-hole on my network. because there are websites that I rely on that become functionally unusable because of all of the pop-ups and ads and other things that they're putting in the way. And sometimes I just need to find like a number, but it's wrapped in all of this other garbage that that makes the website load slowly and makes my web browser get buggy, and then I can't get what I want. Anyhow, Pi-hole fixes that for me. And whenever we get to a point where this has all been fixed and it isn't a cancer on our internet experience, I'll get rid of it. But until then, I I feel like, at least for me, I can't have a functional internet experience without a a hardcore blocker system like this in place. Okay, so what I did was I set up a Raspberry Pi and I installed Pi-hole on it, and it has its own IP address. And I'm going to hop back to a previous slide real quick. See this one where I showed you how to add 1.1.1.1 in there, but then I have these other two numbers? The top one is the local IP address for my Pi-hole. So whenever I type apple.com, instead of going out directly to Cloudflare or to my ISP, the request goes to a Raspberry Pi that's sitting in a cabinet underneath my television. And then the Raspberry Pi forwards that request on to Cloudflare for me through with DOH active, and then when the website comes back to load for me, all that garbage comes along with it. But as soon as it hits the Raspberry Pi, it all gets blocked, and just the part that I need gets filtered through. And so you notice I have multiple numbers in here. The second one is the number for my eero, my local address for my eero. That way, if something happens and my Raspberry Pi crashes, I don't lose the ability to load web pages because it can gracefully fall back to my eero, which is using 1.1.1.1 for its DNS. But what happens when I get off my network and I go somewhere else? Well, there we go. 1.1.1.1 is sitting in there. So I have this great system where it transparently cascades to the best possible service available to me at that moment. Okay, so once you have your Pi-hole set up, then you add in another service called Cloudflared, and and this adds the DOH part to your DNS queries. So a Pi-hole on its own does not encrypt your DNS requests, but a Pi-hole that's also running Cloudflared does. And so you get this nice little web interface. So what you're seeing is a screenshot from my Pi-hole interface loaded as a web page on my Mac. And so I can go in and I can add in additional blocker services, and I can whitelist websites that I want to whitelist. And anyhow, I have a ton of control over exactly what sort of traffic can come into my network, and then I can look at all these stats and uh, and then feel good about the fact that I'm blocking all of this stuff that is ultimately just garbage. Um, okay, here's the thing though, and this is why I just wanted to talk about this. I'm not going to go into it deep. You better be comfortable with the command line because you're going to get real command liney and you're going to be doing Linux stuff. Um, Okay, if you want to put this in, I'm going to throw out terms that some of you won't know, but for those of you that do, you're going to be like, "Oh, cool," and the rest of you, don't worry about it. Um, um, just spin up a Docker container on your Synology and throw this in there and run it from your Synology. You can do that too. And Linda, by the way your head just spun, I can tell you just assigned homework. I know what just happened there. Okay, so anyhow, for me, I'm running this on a Raspberry Pi. And so if you go to pi-hole.net, the instructions are right there. You can install Pi-hole on basically any Linux system. So you can run it on a Mac Mini if you want, um, or whatever Mac you want to run it on. There are great tutorials out there for walking you through setting up a Raspberry Pi as a Pi-hole. Um, you can find tutorials for any of the platforms that you can run Pi-hole on, and getting Pi-hole up and running is, even with a command line, I think surprisingly simple. The trick is when you go to add in Cloudflared, which adds the DOH part. There's the whole thing with certificates, and sometimes it works right and sometimes it doesn't. And if it doesn't work right, like when I went to set it up initially, and there were problems that just suddenly became insurmountable. And so I decided, no problem, I'll just go and manually create the certificates. And I did, and I got everything back where it needs to go. And before I was done, I was back at my Mac with a little SD card, and I just wiped the whole thing and started from scratch because I completely destroyed my entire network connectivity to the internet only on the Raspberry Pi. And it got to the point where it's like, ah, screw it. It's easier to nuke and pave and start over. Um, but the you know this a Pi hole works great, and even if you're not using DOH with it, it's still a really cool tool. Okay, and so I mentioned Cloudflare. Once you've got it up and running, you just go back into your Pi-hole web interface and you tell it to look to your Pi-hole for the DNS part, and then it just does everything else. So what you're doing is you're running two services on one device, and the one service says, okay, I will encrypt all your DNS for you, but I need to access the other service because that's where you're making the request. And so then the two services are like, chink, okay, we'll work together. And from your end, once it's up and running, it's just like magic because you just type in a web request and it's done. It goes out, it's encrypted, and all the ads, a lot of the ads get blocked on the way back, and the trackers get blocked, and it's a beautiful thing. So once you have all of this set up, what do? This is where you add the IP address for your Pi hole into your DNS settings. So in my case, that's where the 192.168.7.175 comes in. And so with that in there, on my local network, everything goes through my Pi hole, and it's great. All my devices can take advantage of it. If you come to my network and I add you to my network, um, you can then use this as well, and you don't need to know anything about how it got set up. It just works transparently. So why I like using something like this as opposed to each device having warp on it is I've set it up once and everything gets to use it. It doesn't matter what the device is. If it needs DNS, I just point it to the Pi hole, and and it's all handled. So that was a ton of stuff. I ran us over. That's because I talked slower than I did at MacStock, and that's because there wasn't a presentation coming up right after me. Also, I added in stuff that I didn't talk about at MacStock, like specifically going into the whole passwords thing, um, because the presentation after me was all about passwords and passkeys.
Could you put
So
up the QR code again for your deck?
I can, and not a problem. So right before I pop that up, if you need to get a hold of me, here you go. That's how to do it. Um, if you didn't get your photo of that in time, don't worry because all you have to do is use the QR code and that'll get you this whole presentation. So all of your notes for you, including some contact info.
We'll make the QR code available in the SVMUG meeting notes.
Oh, that'll be easy.
I have a couple of points I'd like to bring up. Have you used NextDNS?
I did. I played with that a little bit, and when I did, it seemed to work just fine for me.
Yeah, I
Uh,
use that pretty extensively. It's kind of a combination of Warp and Pi-hole.
mm-hmm.
So it's virtual, so you don't have to actually create a Pi-hole device. And it does, you can set up to block ads and block malware and have the, private DNS. So that's a good alternative, I think, and it might be not quite as technical for people. Probably not as much control as Pi-hole, though.
Yes, not as much control as Pi-hole, but you're right, not nearly as technical. Um, and when I put this presentation together, of course, time limited.
Right.
So I went with what's a super easy option? Here's Warp.
Right.
Do you want to go like totally crazy with all of this? Here's Pi-hole.
Right. And the other thing is just to clarify, I mean, the other way to get that, my understanding is the other way to get protection on your DNS is to simply run a VPN where the software configures things up. So you're using the VPN's domain name server, and that bypasses the monitoring that goes on Comcast, and you don't need to mess with anything else. Is that
Yeah. Um, so
fair?
yes.
Is that
Um,
oh,
short answer, and I will build on your answer a little bit.
okay?
Um, if you're using something like Cloudflare or or Quad9, whatever,
Hmm.
OpenDNS, and you're running VPN, then you're routing everything out for the DNS part to those other servers through a VPN, and so that will give you a similar type of protection.
Right. So, but if I'm only using VPN software, wouldn't that just go right to the like ExpressVPN? Wouldn't that use ExpressVPN's domain name servers?
No,
Okay.
it uses whatever domain name server you are currently using.
Okay.
So that means that if you're using, say, your ISP's DNS,
Hmm.
your DNS request is still plain text to your ISP.
Hmm. All
But
right.
once you have that connection to the server, now you have a VPN running.
So you're saying VPN works except for DNS queries. It's not, it doesn't tunnel, the VPN doesn't tunnel your DNS queries.
No, but it wouldn't matter because if you're using your ISP's DNS, because they have to log that anyhow. So your VPN protects you or encrypts your activity between you and the VPN server.
Right.
And then on the other end, it can be open, whatever level of
Oh yeah.
inherent protection it had. And I know you know this. I'm expounding on this for the people that don't. Um, so your VPN encryption goes as far as the VPN. Now,
Right.
when you do a DNS request and you're using your ISP's DNS for this example, sure, everything is that tunnel to your VPN is encrypted. But once you get that DNS request at the VPN end, if the request is supposed to go to your ISP, then that's going to shoot out plain text back to your ISP outside of your VPN tunnel.
Hmm. So it doesn't go from the VPN output to the DNS of the, it
Yeah.
goes straight from your machine router or whatever to, okay. Yeah, I think that there may be exceptions to that with certain VPN providers may also provide a DNS service packaged into it, but I'll have
Well,
to
like
look into
Cloudflare
it.
does,
Yeah.
but you have to explicitly set this is the DNS you want to use.
Mhm.
But yes, you're right. Yes, you are correct.
Okay, thanks.
What was the thing, Jeff, that you were going to mention about hotel networks that won't let you use in a VPN?
So thank you for bringing that up because I haven't had a chance to try this. What I want to do is use Warp
Oh,
and see if that works.
okay.
Because Warp, it's for a lot of people, it will serve the purpose of a VPN. It's not a true VPN because there are things that it doesn't do that a VPN is expected to do. But you've got an encrypted tunnel between you and the Cloudflare servers, and so you're protecting yourself on that local network,
Okay.
and you're avoiding the IP address issue of the hotel.
Okay. All right. I'll play with that. Thank you.
Sure.
Mm.
And I can't wait to hear how that works for you. With the way my schedule is, I'm betting you might be in a hotel before I am to test this.
End of October, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, you'll be ahead of me then.
Okay. 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 Thank you. What else? Other questions? Anybody? Who else? Kenji, you had a hand up earlier, I think.
I
Yeah,
will
yeah, but
stop
that was
sharing.
bogus. I just was, I think, resting my head on my
All
hand
right.
and
Oh, okay.
didn't
And it,
thought my hand was up.
okay.
But I do have a question. Looking at your slide deck for under limiting spam calls.
Mm-hmm.
So I tap settings, I tap apps, I tap phone. I don't see call blocking and identification.
All right, hold on. Let me look at my iPhone and make sure that we haven't had something change since I wrote the instructions. And settings, apps. I'm sorry, what were we looking for? Phone,
Settings, apps, phone, call blocking and identification.
LMNOP, phone.
I got it.
Where is it? Call blocking and identification. Scroll down, Kenji,
Yeah, scroll down.
and check your iOS. You might want to check
Like
your
scroll
iOS.
all the way to the bottom
Yeah.
Okay. At the bottom, I see dial assist.
and look up from that 1, 2, 3, 4 entries.
You
1,
don't.
2, 3, 4. Oh,
So,
silence unknown callers.
Should be
okay,
just
so you should have something between silence unknown callers and blocked contacts.
I do not.
All right.
What OS are you running?
The latest
Hmm.
18.6.1.
Maybe it's your
Okay.
phone.
Then try this. Go to the App Store, download Haya and install it and enable it. And I bet you it's going to bring call blocking and identification back up for
And
you.
how do you spell that?
HY
HIY.
HIY.
HIYA. There we go.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
I
We've
bet that'll
kept,
fix it for you.
we've kept this man up, guys, because he's in a different time zone. Although, are you in Colorado?
I am.
Okay. Okay. It's good. So not as bad as some of the East Coast guys that we really keep up late. But
Yeah, this is this is midnight for them.
yeah. 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 So
Yeah,
I got a
only
quick
10 for
question.
me. Okay.
Uh, is there some way of making a block diagram about, we have a signal over here on the left-hand side and going through all of these ISPs and IPs and all this kind of stuff going into the network and kind of explaining what's going on at the other end, where we could attach all of these little programs to each block that it is applicable to? Or is that too complicated?
So what I'm hearing is, hey Jeff, would you make a flow chart for us?
Yeah, you got that.
There may be something like that already, and if not, hold on, I'm making a note.
Oh, Jeff.
This sounds like the
Because
it was signed
because
by emotions.
that way I can, kind of associate the programs with which block it belongs to.
If you learn how to do all this yourself, you can make that flow chart.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm 87 years old. I have trouble remembering what I did yesterday.
Yeah. Better yet, I imagine with the right words, you could get either Bart or Allison to do it.
There you go. There you
Oh,
go.
I know what the right words are. Hey, Allison, I was looking for this, and I can't believe you didn't make it already. What's up with that? I know how to work the system.
Go, Jeff. Okay. I want to let this man go. I think he could use some sleep. Guys, anybody
it
else
was
has got something?
it was a good show. I liked it.
Yes, very good. Thank you, Jeff.
Oh,
Thanks,
sure.
Jeff.
And I'm glad you got some hopefully useful information out of it.
Yeah, it was very good. Very
Yeah.
good. Incredibly thorough. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll distill it down for you just to make it super easy, no complicated stuff. Change your DNS to Cloudflare, install Warp, and you're set.
Awesome. Okay. All righty. Thanks, Jeff. Very much appreciated.
Oh, sure. And thank you for inviting me to come
Oh,
and
yeah,
speak.
really.
We will do so again. Promise.
Yeah, right.
You know where to find me.
I do. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate
All right, thank you.
it. But good night.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye-bye.